Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have one great story, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. And today's first story is, Threats to Complain the COE Did Not Help an Entitled Jerk. On to the story. Bring me a microwave or I'm telling the CEO on you. This happened this past Monday night, and before I get into the meat of it, a little backstory for the night from my end. I'm a new front desk supervisor at a hotel that is much larger than any hotel I've ever worked before. I'm used to hotels with 100 to 125 rooms, and maybe one meeting space. This hotel is over 300 rooms with around 15 meeting spaces. We're also located in a rather large industrial park about 20 minutes from the downtown area, the airport, and several large attractions in a major city. So we're usually really busy Monday through Wednesday. On top of this, my night auditor had a family emergency in a city 6 hours away and had to call out both Sunday and Monday night. So on top of my regular schedule of 2:30 to 11 p.m., I was also working both those overnight shifts. My front office manager has also recently had a few medical emergencies. We think stress-related but aren't 100% sure. She's trying her hardest to be there for her shifts, but for the last week or so she's been texting me, asking if I can come in early so she can run to the nearest urgent care facility. The only commitments that I have outside of work right now are to my couch and computer. So yeah, no problem working doubles and squeezing naps in where I can. I have an awesome front desk team and have no problem picking up some extra time here or there when they need it. Because I know they do the same for me. I worked Sunday night without any hiccups. It was quieter than a usual night shift had been because we're going into our slow season. But since I was supposed to be off on Sunday and got called in, my manager asked me to come in later on Monday to cut some overtime. I'm hourly, not salary. Instead, when I wake up Monday, I notice a text asking me to come in as soon as possible because my manager had another medical emergency and needed to leave. I left as soon as I could and figured I'd just eat something when I got to work. I got to work just before 3 p.m. and my manager left as fast as she could. She told me to try and have the night audit done by 4 a.m. because she had someone from the morning shift coming in early to relieve me. I figured I could speed run it and have it done in no time since I'm usually done around 5 a.m. So I could start early and just work a little faster than normal and I would be fine. We were so busy Monday afternoon that thinking back on it, I don't think I ever sat down and ate anything. I just had an energy drink. Then when shift change happened, I had a second energy drink and still didn't eat anything. So I was stressed, jittery, and my blood sugar was crashing super hard and fast. We were also so busy that I didn't look at the clock fast enough, and not only missed my chance to start the night audit early, but was actually starting it at 12 a.m., a full hour late. Right as I start printing the reports, a guest calls to make a noise complaint. Hi, I'm in 305, and the guy in the room next to me is being really loud. It sounds like he's on the phone. Room 303, I think? I apologize for the disturbance and tell her that I'll try to talk to him and ask him to keep it down. After ending the call, I call up 303 and speak with the guest. I'll call him Mr. P. Mr. P. Yes? Me. Hello, Mr. P. I apologize for calling at such a late hour, but we've just received a noise complaint against your room. I'd like to ask that you please be mindful of your neighbors and of the late hour and lower your volume. Mr. P. I understand. I sometimes talk loudly, that's all. Me. That's fine, sir, but again, it is rather late. Since this was a formal complaint, I had to call and speak with you about it. He started to repeat what he said, stuttering a little. At the time, I just wrote it off as him being tired and because of his thick accent. I assumed English wasn't his first language, and he was just having a hard time getting the words out with a tired brain. We ended the call and I went back to my work. Around 1:30 a.m., Mr. P calls from his room asking that we bring a microwave up to him. We don't have microwaves in our rooms, but do keep a few things in the housekeeping area on the main floor. I told my bellman, who's acting as security for the night, where to find them and to bring one to Mr. P, and about 10 minutes later my bellman comes back saying he found only one and it was broken. We really don't have that many on the property and I just assume they must all be in use since we're almost sold out for the night. I call Mr. P back. Mr. P. Yes? Me. Hello, Mr. P. I'm terribly sorry, sir, but we do not have a microwave to send to your room. Seems that all the ones we have for guest use are currently being used by other guests. Mr. P. That is unacceptable. You will bring me one now. Me, confused. Mr. P, I'm sorry, sir, but there isn't one for us to bring you at this hour. We may have one for you tomorrow, but no. Mr. P. No. You're a company name, so you must have one. You will bring it to me now. Me. Sir, we do not have one. Mr. P: You are a company name, are you not? Me: Yes, sir, we are. Mr. P: Full service, yes? I've asked for a service. You will provide for me what I've asked. I am a rewards title and you will bring it to me. Me: Again, sir, I cannot do that. Mr. P continues to go off about how we claim to be a full-service hotel and cannot do the simplest of things. How we do not value our loyal members, and how he's 10 nights away from being the next level of a rewards member. This lasts for a while. I eventually stopped apologizing because the apologies only made him raise his voice at me. While he's talking, his words slur and his stuttering continues. He's clearly drunk and I've just made him angry. I let him rant to his heart's content, and he ends the call with, I'll buy one from the market. I'm confused at this point. Either he means he's going to leave right now and get an Uber to the nearest store to buy a microwave at 2 a.m., or he plans to do it tomorrow when we will have one for him for free. Either way, not my problem anymore. Nope. He calls back to the desk a few minutes later and continues to bark at me for not having the microwave. Begins saying he'll take this up to the CEO of our company and have us shut down. Normally when someone makes that threat, I'm giggling. That night I was just so irritated with him stopping me from doing the night audit that I just wanted to shout back at him. I held it in, was at the point where I wasn't apologizing and had swapped yes sir with and just let him rant more. He finally hangs up again. I waited for a good bit, fully expected another drunk call from him, and when it didn't come through I sent my bellman to walk the hall and see if he heard any noises from Mr. P's room. He had one noise complaint and was borderline harassing me while intoxicated. I was seriously considering tossing him out. My bellman went up, walked the hall, floated around the door some, came back down and said he didn't hear anything. We assumed he was asleep. At 3 a.m. the guest in 305 calls to make another noise complaint. She's getting really irritated at this point. She said Mr. P was screaming angry drunk in his room. I immediately inform her that we warned him about the noise, and now that there's been another noise complaint, I will be notifying the police to escort him out, and for her to not be alarmed if she sees or hears the police in the hall. I call the local PD, and while waiting on them to arrive, I realize how hard I'm shaking and frantic I appear when I speak. I try to calm myself down and munch on a Snickers to get my blood sugar under control. The whole time, my bellman is asking me a million questions. He's never had to do this before and has no idea what's going to happen or what he should do. I try to calm my nerves and him while answering his questions and eating my Snickers. 3 officers arrive rather quickly and go upstairs with me to Mr. P's room. I explain things as we go up and they knock on the door. A short, late 30s Middle Eastern man answers the door in his boxers. Mr. P. He claims he was sleeping and asks what's going on. The officers ask if they can come in and talk to him. Mr. P lets them in. I stay in the hall but can hear some of what's going on. One officer asks him the standard questions while the other 2 look around. I hear one officer pick up what sounds like a large and heavy glass object and walk over to Mr. P with it. Officer: Sir, did you drink any of this tonight? Mr. P: Yes, I like to drink in my room when I travel. Officer: How much did you drink? Mr. P: All of it. He sounded proud. After that, one officer exits the room and asks if it would be okay for him to stay if he just calmed down and went to sleep. I said no. I don't trust him to fall asleep, and he's already disturbed a guest twice now. He has to go. The officer went back in. All 3 of them help him get dressed and get his wallet and phone and then take him with. When he sees me in the hall, he grins and says, "Who complained?" The officer immediately snaps at him to not talk to me and I just ignore him. They take Mr. P away and tell me they're going to take him to a hospital to sober up, and then someone will bring him back here to collect his things in the afternoon. I groan because that means I have to deal with him a second time when I come in for my regular shift, but will at least have had food and sleep by that point. Nope. At 6 a.m., Mr. P arrives back at the hotel to collect his things. Because of all the mess he caused in delaying me doing the night audit, I'm still there trying to finish my work and file an incident report, explaining what happened with him. My bellman comes into the back office. I hid there with my work as soon as my relief showed up at 4 a.m. and tells me Mr. P is back and wants to be let in his room. I tell my bellman to escort him to the room, let him enter, he's to gather his things and leave immediately. My bellman, not quite understanding the instructions, or just being a nicer guy than he should have been, let Mr. P have the key to the room and just walked him up there. Mr. P shut himself in the room. My bellman returns and tells me this. I call Mr. P and have my bellman stand and witness the call. I tell Mr. P he has 10 minutes to collect his things and leave immediately. He tries to argue for 15 and demands the phone number of the CEO. I tell him no. I offer the contact info of my general manager and 10 minutes and he continues to argue with me, saying it was unnecessary for us to call the police. I told him it was policy to call them for evictions, which it is. He continued to try and argue with me. I wasn't having it. Mr. P, given the circumstances, I'm being generous with giving you 10 minutes of privacy to collect your things. You've wasted 2 minutes of that with this call. You now have 8 minutes. My security officer will be at your door then to assist you in leaving. Is that understood? Mr. P groaned and hung up. I went with my bellman to the door 8 minutes later, and when Mr. P opened, my bellman made a motion for me to go back downstairs. He said, I think he's still drunk. I then remembered there was alcohol found in the room, and possibly more than that was left. I went downstairs and left my bellman a radio in case anything happened. Mr. P knew my face and was already angry with me. If he was indeed still intoxicated, there was no telling what would happen if I stayed. I waited in the back office watching cameras with a radio in my hand, waiting for any reason to call the cops again. It was getting close to 15 minutes of me waiting and I saw and heard nothing. I was about to go back there when they finally came down, and Mr. P charged for the desk and began berating my associate for the personal information of the guest who made the complaints. I'm beyond done with him and his SH. I walked out, stood beside my associate, and began my stare down with Mr. P. Me: Mr. P, are you requesting the private information of a guest at this property? Mr. P: yes. Me: no. Mr. P: you'll give me the name and credentials of me. No, you will not have their information. Mr. P: you will do as I say. Give me their information and the phone number of the CEO. Me: you're in no position to make demands or negotiations. You have your belongings. You're now trespassing. Leave. Mr. P tried to throw his member status around more and argue all sorts of things with me. I stared him down and told him that if he didn't leave, I was calling the police again. He sneered at me and stopped out. I had my bellman watch him from inside until his Uber arrived. I then finished my night audit, filled out an incident report. I even had to have a sit-down with my general manager and tell her the whole story. She said I did an amazing job, and when my bellman and associate were questioned for their statements on the matter, they both said they were impressed with how I handled it. Up until this, I had a reputation for being a fun-loving and goofy person at the front. But when word spread about what happened, everyone thinks I'm some hotshot bad A. I even got nominated as Host of the Week, our version of the Employee of the Month, and had my time off request for the whole week before Thanksgiving approved. My A will be several states away with my phone off that entire week. My night auditor came back last night and was so shocked to hear what happened that he interrupted my storytelling 5 times to apologize. I joked that he owes me a beer after that, and now he's saying he's going to take our entire management team out for drinks and he's buying all rounds. I'm trying to talk him out of that. Some of our managers are rumored to drink like fish. And just to be clear, Mr. P will no longer be able to stay at our hotel. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.